Hey everyone, I'm Kara from Deep Root Connections. I'm excited to share this space with you today, as well as a friend of mine, Tracy Schoolman. She is a fellow channel for nature spirits, and she is the host of a really incredible podcast called Gaia Translate, where she shares her channeled messages that she brings forward of the spirits of nature. So some of the beings that she channels include the animal kingdom, the minerals, the plants. I think you just even the other day you brought forward fog. And so this includes like the spirits of the elements, and she's just super cool. And so I wanted to bring her into this space today to highlight kind of different ways people work with, connect with all of these different beings. And we're just going to have a conversation about how all of this works for her. So thank you, Tracy, so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to chat.
Thank you for inviting me. I
Yeah.
am thrilled to be here, and it is really exciting to share that there's an awful lot of other things out there that are just looking to engage with us, to chat with us, to have conversations with us. We just have to accept that and be willing to receive it.
Yes, exactly. I feel like believing that it's possible is step one. So let's just get a little bit of your background. Have you always been a channel and tuned into all of these different energies, or no? Okay, so just how did this all open up for you? Let's start there.
While I don't recommend this for anyone, the way that it's a traditional phrase that you hear. It's a spiritual awakening that happened after one of my children died in a car accident. And so after she was, it just graduated from college. So it was 5 days after she graduated from college. And so I should start by saying I didn't have a religious upbringing. I had a be good human upbringing, like kind of a humanistic upbringing. And so I didn't have any formal religious structure to fall back on. And so this was so devastating to me that I literally was like, I didn't know what to do. So I literally got down on my hands and knees, and I didn't know who I was praying to or who I was asking anything from. I just said, universe, I need help. I need help. Otherwise, I don't know if I can go on. And the universe stepped in. And one of the things that was a huge blessing for me was that a few weeks after my daughter transitioned, I was guided through these weird synchronicities that happen and you don't understand them until afterwards. I had a book on my bedside table, which was called The Medium Next Door by Maureen Hancock, who is a medium, who is in Massachusetts area. I didn't know anything about this. This was before my daughter had her accident, but I had been reading it, whatever. There were, some relative, it came to me and happened to be reading it. Well, I ended up going to see her after my daughter died, and she actually brought my daughter through. She brings like she'll has these things where she'll bring, she'll have like 200 or 300 people will be in the audience, and she'll bring the loved ones who have passed in for them. Now, I had no idea whether this would work. The only thing I did, of course, I had great hope that something would happen. The only thing I did was I just said, I am going to be open to this. I'm going to be open. I'm just going to allow whatever happens to happen. And that was remarkable. And that was what opened my eyes to the fact that the energy, the awareness of people we love and of all things actually is not only in the physical form when it's in an embodied state, and that it continues, and that we can continue and we can actually have ongoing relationships. So when this first happened, I didn't think I could, I was desperate to keep my relationship with my daughter going. And so while I knew I could get the information from, um, going to this medium who was amazing, um, just amazing. And I mean, basically, I can go into examples of why I know, but it really was my daughter, including my dog, like in the middle of the night, right after my daughter died, my little dog, who is, like this big and can't see out the windows anyway, but happened to be sleeping on my bed. And then all of a sudden, like a week after my daughter died, this little dog sits up in bed and starts growling, quietly growling at nothing that I can see, and is just staring out at nothing in the night, growling. And this scared me because, first of all, the dog never did this before. Secondly, I'm like 12 feet away from the window where there's nothing the dog can see out the window anyway. And I'm like, it got me up. I'm looking around the room. I go over and look out the window. I don't see anything. In fact, she's still looking at something that I can't see, and she is growling. And then I was like, okay, I don't know what it is. But because she was scared, it made me feel scared. So a few days later, this is before I went to see the medium. A few days later, it happened again. I was like, doing whatever I typically do. Oh, unloading the dishwasher or something. And I'm sitting there, and she all of a sudden stands up again and stares at something I cannot see and starts that low growling again. Now I'm kind of making the connection. Well, this must be some energy. I'm going, well, I hope you're nice, whatever you are. So, long story short, when the medium brought my daughter through, one of the first things the medium looked at me and said, she goes, do you have a dog? And I go, yes. She goes, your daughter says she's sorry for flipping the dog out. She goes, when energies who have recently passed, they're kind of like have what I would call a learner's permit in terms of learning how to navigate their energy that isn't held in a physical form and in the density of this earth plane. So she goes, so they kind of come zooming in, or their energy is a little bit, kind of like when you're teaching your kid how to drive, and wait and you'll see. And so basically she goes, your dog can see your daughter's energy field, but because it's just not regulated yet, she goes, but it will come more, and then it won't be so obvious to you. So that was one of those, what you would call the validation in a physical way, and then I've had a million others. There's tons of stories I can tell about that, but the real point of it is this was the start. This was how I started. And then I desperately wanted to reach out to my daughter and to communicate myself with her if it was possible. And so somebody I know is intuitive suggested that I get some oracle cards, and that I could use an oracle card to try as a bridge thing to kind of connect with her. And I can say that I've used oracle cards. Certain oracle cards will resonate with somebody. If you go and you see some, and you'll kind of have a feeling about the one that you might want to use. This is a great bridge tool I found, and I continue to use them on occasion. I'll sit there and I might just say, with my guides, not just with my daughter, I'll sit there and I'll go, okay, well, I don't need it with my daughter anymore. Now I connect with my daughter. But with the guides, I'll sit there and I'll just say, I seek guidance, or I'll ask a question, and then I'll go to the oracle cards to help give me an answer. And so how does this segue into me being a nature mystic and a nature channel and a communicator? Same way. So I eventually, the phrase, like, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And so people started to come into my life that were able to give me some guidance on my spiritual journey. And so one of them offered me, they go, we would recommend, and this is why I have this, I brought this to do show and tell, okay? So these are medicine cards. I'll hold them up. Can you see them? Oh, they're backwards, but, and so the medicine cards are pictures, you might have this, are pictures of animals, nature animals. And this is by Jamie Sams and David Carson. So what I was guided to do was to start by pulling a card and reading what the energy was of the animal in the card. And then what I was told was that the image that I would see, fox or hawk or whatever, was an energy signature. It was, and so that I could see a fox in my yard, and that would tell me to go and read the message. in the same way I could see a picture of a fox in a book, or I could see a picture of the fox in the card. So they go, it doesn't matter the form that the message comes through, like the image comes through, you can see the real ones, you can see, for me, they go, so for example, like I've been driving and there'll be like a beer truck in front of me and it'll have a giant eagle on it. And then I'll be like, if I drive for a certain amount of time, and if I turn and it happens to turn the same way, like, after several turns, you go, okay, this is a message for me that I need to pay attention to the eagle. Even though I didn't see an eagle above me, the eagle is not, this is their way of their tapping on my shoulder energetically to say, hi, when you get a moment. And so I might be in a place where I'm like, okay, I can see that I need to channel that energy or connect with that energy, but I'm driving on a highway now. And so when I get a chance, I'll actually pull over and then I'll actually sit there and I'll to calm myself. And then if I'm, whatever, on the side of the road, I'll wait, I'll invite that energy in, and then I'm very, very respectful, as my kind of job description is to share information, it's just kind of to be the conduit through which, as I described, why do I call it Gaia Translate? I call it Gaia Translate because I'm a translation app. That's how I look at myself now. I simply receive blocks of energetic information that is coming to me from the thought form and the intent of an energy. It gets translated into the language I happen to speak in this lifetime, which is English, and then I share it. And so I'm basically just like, you can think of me as like a hollow tube, a bone. I consider a transistor, I consider myself a translation app, which is why, like Google Translate, I call the podcast Gaia Translate, because Gaia is the name for Mother Earth. And so that just seemed to fit at the time. And so I will actually either record verbally what I'm hearing, because I also receive, I have an inner eye, I'm sure you do too, where I'm able to see images inside of my head. They're kind of like, the way when you imagine something, you'll get an image. Say you were thinking about a fox walking across the street. You might see in your mind's eye the image of a fox walking across the street. And that can sometimes be an image that is planted in there as guidance from another energy source. So they're giving you a hint, look this way. And so I'll either record it verbally, what I hear, I'll just allow it to come through and I'll just use my little voice recorder. Or for a long time, before I was comfortable speaking out loud and actually doing that, because I didn't know if I could, so I stood my own way. Like, I don't think I can do this. Oh, yes, you can. Try, practice, try. And so then eventually, I did it. But I would literally just take notes on my note app on my phone. I'd be like, but I would actually tell the energies. I would say, please slow down, because I want to be very careful and actually get everything you're saying. And so and then I also find that, I don't know about you, but when I receive messages, sometimes I hear them, but then the details, the actual details and the nuance of the way that it's worded, I need to go back and read it. It's kind of like overhearing. You hear it, but you're not quite fully, I don't know. That's how it is for me sometimes. And sometimes I think I got the whole thing. Then when I go back and read it, I'm like, whoa, there's a lot more. That's pretty amazing. So that's so it's absolutely a huge blessing. I feel very, very blessed. First of all, to have and slowly have been able to, I'm sure I drove her nuts. I finally am able to fully receive my daughter's messages, and we continue to communicate all the time. One of the things that she told me once was, she goes, yeah, my hair is getting really long. And I'm like, what? She goes, that's my way of telling you that even though I'm not in a body, I continue to grow. Like, just because I'm not in a physical body doesn't mean our relationship can't continue to grow. Our relationship can't remain. We can't continue. And I would offer that many, many, many of us who've lost someone dear to them, we hear them in our heads talking to us, or we'll fight, or they'll come in our dreams to us, because that's a little easier for sometimes for them to come through. Or we'll be asked, you know, it's kind of like if your mom passes away, you're like, Mom, what would you do in this situation? And then you hear a response. Yes, sometimes it may be that you are filling in what you think they would say, but a lot of times it's actually they're weighing in on, because you're asking them and they're able to. The thing is, how did my guides put it? They go, yeah, a lot of times your ego takes credit for our work. They go, your ego's like, no, we did that. And it's like, no, not really, you know. And people will get the messages, right? They'll get it. You get it through a song. There's a lot of ways that the energies of the natural world and the energies of our human fields communicate in body and out of body. I don't know about you, but there'll be times I'll be thinking about a friend, they'll text me, you know, or if you think about them, they feel it. They can feel the tap, right? And so it's something that we're aware of, but we don't fully allow to be a part of the normalcy of the way we are. And this also segues to the natural world. We are so aware and attuned with our pets. We know what they're thinking. They know what we're thinking. That's why you can see a pet respond to your emotional state in reaction to someone else, not only your words, okay? And that is like really key. You know how they go, dogs can smell fear. Yes, they can. But they're really sensing your energy. They're sensing the energy. We can too, right? You walk into a room, there's been some big argument that just took place there, and you walk in, you go, something's not right in here. We can feel it. So this is about accepting what's natural for us and actually beginning to trust it, I think, and actually beginning to find it fun. I think it's absolutely incredibly fun and incredibly amazing to be able to know that there's always someone to have a conversation with, whether it's, you know, the animals that are in my yard, whether I decide, and I will go, and I'm sure you do the same thing. Like I'll go for a walk somewhere and I'll see a beautiful tree. And then I take the time to sit there and to ask politely, you know, and say, hi, you know, can we have a conversation? I acknowledge them. I acknowledge that there's a spirit there. And I offer gratitude for their willingness to communicate with me. It's like saying, hi, how are you? And I'm sure you know, like what I found is that when I was first doing this, you know, some beautiful tree, I was sitting there having this kind of like, wow, you are an amazing tree. You can just feel sometimes the energy. It's just, this is an amazing tree. And so then I stopped in my little walk around the pond because I felt like I had to stay right there, like literally looking at the tree to actually have our conversation. And the energy of the tree goes, you don't have to stay here. I can come with you and chat while you're walking around the pond. They go, this is my thought coming with you. This is my energy field. I'm not, they go, we look deeply rooted, but our field of awareness is not. That's what I've got. I don't know. Is that what you get?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I talk to my trees all the time. My guides are on the top of a mountain. I never see them in person anymore. It's just like, hey, I need some advice. But yeah, exactly the same thing.
And that's sort of the way, like when people talk about sending remote healing, it's one of the reasons why you can get your group of people, we can get people and you know, to anyone listening, I would just say, never underestimate the power of your energy field. Your energy field can go anywhere and it can send great healing and rebalancing to this world and this planet through your intention and your knowing it is so.
Yes, that's something that I actually had to learn was I thought it was too easy. The power of intention, right? Come on. That was my first impression with the power of intention. I was like, that's not how it works. It has to be more complicated than that. But that is not true at all. Literally, your intention is like all you need. It's incredible.
Intention is, as I understand it, everything.
Exactly. It does seem too easy, but that's exactly it. So I want to acknowledge the loss of your daughter first and foremost. Like I can't even imagine what you went through. I'm so sorry to hear that that's what kind of put you into this space. I'm so happy that you can still connect with her though. That's just I feel like a lot of people will feel comfort by the opportunity that they too can connect in with those that they've lost. Because they're still here. They're always still here. Ah, so when you were beginning to channel or kind of open up into that space, it sounds like it kind of came in waves. You know, you started with the oracle cards, and then you mentioned now you kind of just like let the information come in and go straight into the app that you're recording on. Did you have like how was that learning process for you from going from learning oracle cards to all of a sudden all this information is flowing through me? Did you like what
Was
was that?
not an overnight event.
Like what were, I guess, what were the stages like of you kind of getting out of your own way and letting that information come through?
So there were, and this was a stage, it was a step-by-step process for me, and so first I had to understand that it was feasible, right? That this actually could happen. So that was amazing. And then the other thing that I did was I actually learned that I could connect with guides. I didn't even know I had guides. So when people start, I think people will look at me, they go, I don't have guides. I go, you have guides. Everybody has guides. So I started literally basically was, you know, I asked if my guides would connect with me in some way. The other thing, so here are some of the things that I've done to help. I have a good monkey mind. It would be right up there with the top monkey minds on the planet. And so one of the things that I was offered through my teachers was to practice meditating twice a day for 15 to 20 minutes, morning and the evening, and to try and get to still waters. And the reason for this is that one of the image that I think is most hilarious, but also kind of work for me, they go sometimes, and this will happen now even, sometimes when I go to channel, if I have too many of my thoughts running through and I have to kind of quiet out my thoughts, sometimes they have to wait until I can quiet my thoughts down. And so one of the energies came through and they go, yeah, could you please pick up the toys that are scattered across the floor of your thoughts? They go,
Oh my gosh.
have nowhere to stand. And so once you've cleared away a little path for us. And so so this was like, kind of an experience where when I was in resistance of it, and I tried a lot of different things. So I would say to people, try the guided meditations, I think sometimes we feel like we're wasting our time if we try to we try to hold space. But basically what you're doing is you're offering a chair to someone and you're not sitting in it yourself. So you're trying to say, okay, no, you sit here so that they can talk to you. And if you don't give them the space to communicate, or your higher self, whatever it is you want to think about that's coming through, and that's one of the reasons that right now, I mean, I'll be, it's an ongoing event. Right now, I'm guided to disconnect from my phone, from a lot of receivership of information or listening to the radio a lot, because they go, when you do that, you fill the chair, right? There's something sitting in the chair that there's not enough room for us. And, and the other thing, so that was one thing that I had to learn how to do. And the other thing was to try and not to second guess that I'm making it all up. It is so freaking easy to think we are just making it up. And so there is a part of discernment where you're just figuring out, is this coming to me or from me, through me or from me? But there's also a part of trusting that things can come to you and through you that are not coming from you. And so it's that balancing. So one of the ways that I found really helpful was, and I tried this, like I would write a question to my daughter, I'd write a question to the guides, and then I would wait, like on a piece of paper or on my computer, and then I would wait. They actually told me initially to start physically writing. Somehow it was the way that it anchored it more into my field, kind of flowed more through that way, although it was somewhat torturous for me as I'm not very good at writing. And then to wait, to ask the question and to wait, and then whatever came into my mind, to simply start writing it down. And do that, they call it automatic writing, they call it like just going with the flow. And so you do it, and while I was doing it, I would be like, oh, I wonder if I'm just making it, and you just allow it, allow it, allow it. And then you'll realize, oh, that was not actually from me. You'll start to feel the difference. You'll start to realize that you actually are amazingly receiving it's not really so amazing when you think about the fact that we talk to these disembodied humans on a phone. we hear them and we don't think anything of it. And it's like, it's the same thing. You're having a phone call. You're just not using that device, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with everything you've been saying. Although I find that automatic writing is really helpful for me. That's actually how I channel. And this is why I'm so excited to talk to you about how you moved from writing things down to just being able to do it verbally. I mean, I feel like, yes, you're moving through all of these stages. I have so many questions. Where do I want to start? So, going from writing or typing, how did you bring it into channeling it verbally? Because I've tried and it's like I can get the message, I can feel the message, and then I go to speak it and it's like, "Brr, brr, brr, brr." Wait, what did you say? Brr, brr, brr. Like, this isn't working. I'll just write it down. So, how did you take that transition?
Part of that I'm getting to, this is my hit on that, is that you want to listen to the message before you're willing to have it come through your mouth.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's really brilliant. Do you remember the information afterwards, or is it just like you have to go back and listen to it?
I kind of get like what I would say it would be like the Spark Notes version of
Yeah.
like I kind of get like I do, but then there are times when also like I will go back, and I had to practice this. I mean, I was uncomfortable. I didn't like, it's like going and singing in your shower. It's like I had to practice it and going on it, and I had to get over that I can't do this thing. Okay, so I had to get over that I couldn't do it. And the other thing for me, and I don't know, I'll just offer this, but one of the things that I found, first of all, I'm going to do this right now. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. This is water. I am constantly getting lectured at drink more water. So, and I saw you drinking water. And so the water really helps. They're laughing at me. They're laughing at me. They're going, yeah, give it to the other people, but do it yourself, would you? And so the water really helps with the ability, it's kind of like, what did they say to me once? They go, we have to tell you, we're happy to do this, but we're like a boat trying to come into the harbor in low tide when I don't hydrate enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
okay, I will hydrate more. And they like it's, and so what I have found is when I started to channel, because I can channel, I can honestly say I believe there's nothing I cannot channel, because I believe I can channel pretty much everything. And I've come to realize everything has a frequency of sentience, of awareness. Everything. Okay, everything. And that is true because everything holds vibration. And so vibration is information, right? And so vibration, as I understand it, is the way in which we're all in relation with each other. It's that whole, like, if you go and look up vibration and these, what is it? Well, really, we're all just a bunch of weird vibrating parts that just look solid and feel solid and hurt if we hit our knee on something. And so I started with getting pushed really to do it. But there's another channel who you may or may not know. Do you know Paul Selig?
no.
So he brings, there's a lot of people out there now, and they're bringing in guides or energies that are, you might call them ET, energies that are coming from other places that are not of our physical realm here. And even when I'm trying to hold my, if I'm holding my guide set or holding my guides, when I first started to, like, kind of, it's kind of like, the image where you see somebody adding bars onto their weights,
Mhm.
hey, I'm lifting a 40-pound weight, but you have to build it up. So when I would try to hold more than I actually was able to, it would make me sleepy. Do you ever feel sleepy?
I used to when I was first starting out. It was exhausting. Now I feel like I can hold a lot more. And so I can go all day channeling and doing different things. But before, I would even just connect with one animal and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got to go take a nap. Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's the building up.
Mhm.
So for anyone out there, one who thinks they can't receive information, you can. I will say that some people get irked at the fact that I am clear, not irked, but they're like, well, why can't I hear it?
Mhm.
And I will say every instrument is different. Okay, we're all an instrument of receiving. If you're an oboe, you're not going to function the same way. Vibration will not move through you in the same way that if you were a flute or if you were a guitar or whatever. And the reason I say that is that people will have a knowing, right? That's they just have a knowing, or you have a gut feeling, or you have kind of like a sense of something. Those are completely valid ways of receiving information. So you may just have a knowing. Great. You don't have to go through the labor of having it translated into physical words and then hearing it. In other words, this is a more labor intensive way of receiving information. However, my job description right now, is to serve this in a way that can be received. And the other thing I will say, and I don't know if it's true for you, but for me, I find that the energies, whatever's coming through me, they are limited by my vocabulary to a degree. They are limited by, and why is that? It's the same thing with you as I perceive it. If I am being asked to say words that I really don't know what they mean, it kind of stops me. And then I start with my mind, what does that mean? What is that word? And so that's part of it, so that's why I joke a lot. I go, you guys wanted me to be channeling all these beautiful energies of the natural world. Why didn't you have me do what you did? Be a biologist, be it, study science. Said you have me out there doing arts and like communications. Like, what's that got to do? And so I laugh at them a lot. I go, come on, you guys, but they actually go, that's okay. Because it's not, I actually literally just posted one where you can hear it. You can hear it in the episode that I posted. It was the spirit of a cell. Now, the minute that I knew I was going to have to channel the spirit of a cell, I started getting anxious because I was like, what was biology? And so they're going to ask me these things. I'm not going to know the terms. And it literally, the energy goes, it's okay. We are not giving you a quiz about your limited biology reference point. And they go, just take the message, get over it. But so it still happens for me that I'm like, and then I have to calm myself down. And there are times when, I don't know about for you, but there are times when I first started to do the verbal channeling, if I'm not, I do have a technique that I use, which I find helps to shut my thinking off. I don't know what you do, but one of the things that somehow, everybody has a thing that works for them. So one of the things that works for me, I found, is I do a little breathing thing where I'll breathe in for the count of 5. I hold the breath for a count of 5. I breathe out for a count of 5. So I set my intention first. This is how I do it. Okay. I set my intention to invoke whoever I'm looking to connect with. And then I go through this little routine as long as it takes to get to that. And, it's good. It gives my little monkey mind a little project. You go and count. We'll be okay. You go count. So then I'm just able to allow. And then, I don't know, one of the things that I've found that happens when energy is reaching out to me, or I will sometimes get this feeling now. So I actually have a physical feeling that not all the time. It won't happen all the time, but it's sort of like ringing the doorbell for me. I'll get the feeling that I have like little fingers kind of playing on my ground chakra. It's like I'll sit there and I'll be like, so sometimes it's almost like, when your mother gives you a look. I mean, not in a bad way, but it's almost sort of like when someone's behind kind of trying to get your attention, trying to get the waiter's attention and you flag them. So it's a way where I know that energy is there. Is it necessarily, and sometimes I'll say, yes, what is it you want? And they go, no, we're just here. We're tuning you. But so these are all things that have happened and have come along. And the other thing I've learned is that for some people, like synchronicities, I started by writing down a list of synchronicities. I was guided they go, why don't you start keeping a list of things that are synchronicities for you? And also a list of things that appear to be the ways in which, be it the energies of the natural world or your daughter or the guides or whatever, seem to be trying to reach you. And sometimes I think I am so dense that they basically have to hit me on the head in order to get my attention. They're like, oh my God, we have to make this really obvious for her. And so, and then I start laughing. Once I start seeing the pattern of how they've had to keep increasing the knocking, then I go, I'm sorry. I know. So I offer this simply because numbers can be a way that energies communicate. They can show you numbers. When my father passed away, my sister kept seeing his birthday on everything, like everything. My father, we have a connection with my dad. I'm mentioning this because of the images. He named he had a boat and he named it Parhelion. A parhelion is the bright spot on the halo around the sun that looks like a little rainbow spot. And so we always, when we see parhelions now that my father has transitioned, we know it's a hello from my dad. And I literally was just thinking about my dad the other day, looked up, there was the parhelion. So it can come, these messages will come, and then a lot of people have the connection with nature. I don't know about you, but what I know is, there are a lot of birds like cardinals or some people, the dragonflies and the butterflies. And these are beings that I understand are physical beings, but they also serve as forms of willing messengers. Your loved one is not turning into the dragonfly. And I got lectured about that by my daughter. I am not turning into this. I am simply having this knock on your door. And the other thing that happened to me, so right now you see I'm wearing these little dragonfly earrings. So now I'm just offering this for anybody who happens to have lost somebody, because this happened to me so many times, it was like ridiculous. After my daughter died, the earring on my right ear would literally fly out. The earring on my right ear would fall out. And I was like, what is going on? I mean, I was literally sitting having lunch with someone once. And all of a sudden my earring, I'm just sitting there having lunch, all of a sudden, And then I found out from a medium, from Maureen Hancock, that is them saying, I am right here, right here, right here. After about 4 pairs of earrings, I go, why? I'm glad you're here, but it was comforting for me in a weird way. I was like, oh, yeah, she is here, even though I don't see her and I don't hear her. She's here. She's here. She's like, I'm here. It's same with songs, right? You'll hear a song and be thinking about somebody. I used to be going in the supermarket and all of a sudden I'd hear a song that my daughter used to sing, and I'd be like, oh, hi. So you get a lot of these hellos from heaven or hellos from wherever they are, and so it's just very comforting. And then eventually, I was like, okay, I get it. You don't have to keep throwing my earrings away.
Oh, I've never heard the earrings one before. That's really interesting.
I think it's like one of those ways that, well, it's like and I also offer it this way. Everybody has we all have our talent, we all have our skill sets here. Like some people can paint and some people can, ride a horse amazingly. And some people are really good at math or whatever. Some people can play music. And so I say we have the same kinds of skill sets when we're simply energy. And so what that means is like some energies, like I have friends who, one of their family members passed away and they were really good at electronics. So they were able to make the lights would go on and off, or the light bulb would, or they'd be looking at the TV wasn't on, but the lights would go on, So some people have that ability to communicate, to reach out through various forms of energetic flow. It can be through the tapping of nature. It can be through the music. It can be through knocking an earring out of, and so forth and so on. And I simply offer this because they are really messages, and sometimes, I know one of my mother's friends, she lost her husband after many years, and she told me that she goes, when I walk into a certain room and he's there, I smell his pipe smoke. So then sometimes it's the smell that makes you connect, and on and on and on. There's endless stories about these, but I offer these simply because once I understood what they were really helpful. And also I realized, you know what? They're trying to reach us all the time. And our grief may be so dense that what it does is it makes it sort of like having to push through jello. It's just their frequency is higher out of a body, and ours is more densely held and lower because we're in body. How did Maureen Hancock describe it this way? She goes, when you're in a body, you're like a ceiling fan energetically. When you're out of a body, you're like a helicopter rotor. So she goes, so when they're trying to come down and slow their energy fields down enough to actually connect with us, when we're in deep grief, we're depressing our energy fields. So to lift ourselves up, this is why it's good to laugh. It's good to be joyful. It's good to lift yourself up, because honestly, weirdly enough, it makes it easier for your loved ones and all other energies to connect.
Yes. Yes, laughter, dancing, movement, anything that really kind of just gets you out of your body and makes you happy. That's really where we need to be for them to connect in with us. God, you are just sharing so much wonderful information. Thank you for talking so openly about your experience with your daughter and opening up into this whole space. I do have a couple of questions about how the spirits of nature or the mineral kingdom, for example, do you find that you're talking or connecting in with an individual or an overarching consciousness? Like how do you know who or what specifically that you're connecting in with, and kind of what layer are you connecting in with them, individual or overarching? Like how does that look for you?
Well, so what's interesting is oftentimes, like, for example, a while ago, you know how you drive around your neighborhood, and then all of a sudden I started noticing like landscape rocks or rock walls, or rock embankments. And I was like going, and then I would drive along, and all of a sudden, like, instead of noticing what I would normally, the trees or the flowers or I'm just noticing them. I just keep noticing rocks. And then I realized, okay, they're trying to get my attention, right? So I'm getting the message that there's so many of them that I'm like, okay. So now, is it the individual rock that I saw on that hilltop? It could be. Usually what I find, and sometimes I do bring through direct, like you did, you brought through that particular tree, the Sitka spruce, or, I've recently just, did something with the banyan tree on the island of Maui. And that is a particular representative of a bigger energy field. So that's, it's like we are a representative of the human collective energy field. And so that was the individual. And so oftentimes they will tell me, they will sit there, and some of them will come through, and I'll sometimes, now I realize sometimes they're just sort of like, let me open the door for the bigger energy. It's like so when I refer to things as the great spirit of, I'm actually speaking of the entire energetic field of vibrational coherence of a particular species. They will let me know, they're going, oh, hi, I'm that dolphin. I'm that dolphin that you saw that was caught in your cove. That's the one that's speaking to you right now. Or they'll say, yes, we got your attention. Hi, how are you? Now we're going to back away and allow the larger energy field. They kind of sent us as a messenger or as an emissary. And then I'll know that this is, and there are some channelings that I've done where you can actually hear, the difference is like, okay, here's one. And then I will tell you, like, when I do the channelings, when you write them, you can also hear the personality. Like, things have personalities, and they have And oftentimes now when if I'm channeling something that's sharing something that's very grief filled with them or has another emotion, I feel the emotion. I'm not overwhelmed by it, but I feel their feeling state. And then I will listen. Like I will actually listen because I find it comforting. It's weird, you get used to it, but I'll listen. It's my voice, but it's not me. Like it's the energy. It's like you're writing it, but it's not you. So it's like, okay, I kind of feel like in some ways you can think of me like a post office. When things want to come and they want to deliver a message, they come to me and they go, here's the message. Oh, we have a big box now that we want to deliver, so that's going to be the bit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not writing it. I'm just taking it. Where does this need to go? Okay, here, you. Um,
That's so funny. So
that,
it sounds like mostly you're working with the larger energies versus individual. I was going to say, how do the rocks feel for you? Because I work with rock, I call them rock people, but again on the individual basis. So when you're working with the stones, I mean, tell me more about how they feel for you and what kind of messages do they want to share?
oh gosh. See, now here's the thing. You know how many things I've channeled? I'm up to like right now, I just posted, I mean, I just like, I'd have to go back and see what was, and the other thing, and this is hilarious. The other thing is like, so I'll be honest with you. I have like, so I keep a list of everything that's knocked on my door. This whole list of things. Okay, like I'll go through and I'll be like, okay. So I actually just posted one, no, I didn't. I just finished recording one that is the energy of the mirror. Really interesting.
Oh, tell us more.
Absolutely fascinating. So the thing that I've also learned, and it took me a while because there was like one time when like I must have gone over like 5,000 like speed bumps or speed humps in one of my neighborhoods. And I kept thinking, why am I thinking of the speed bump? I'm going, that can't possibly want me. And yes, it did. And so the thing that I've also learned is that even though even though it's a man-made manifestation, when something that is created by us through our thought forms and our intent kind of gets accepted into the larger collective field, it actually basically has a life of its own energetically, and so things that have a life of their own actually have sentience, have a vibrational field of information that they are able, and a field that they have and are able to serve. So to go back to, for example, like these, you see why these cards are called medicine cards, right? So Native Americans, right? The Native Americans, they understand. Some of them, most of them do anyway. So the reason it's called medicine cards is because medicine is a word for the medicine. If you take the medicine, it will offer healing to you. So medicine is wisdom, guidance, blessing, gift, awakening, awareness. And so when you have the medicine of an energy, it serves you, it's a blessing to you, it's a gift to you. The energies of the natural world right now are actually looking, the biggest message that I'm getting from them all is that they are stepping forward. They want to work with us. They want to collaborate with us. They want to be a part, not only a victim. They want to be a part of helping to rebalance, to regenerate, to heal. And they have suggestions about how to do it. They're going, we might offer this suggestion to you, and this is how we have done. It's worked in the past. Let's see if we can work together. They want to work with us. They want to have us all together work to bring back a rebalanced relationship with all life and flow here. And that's really what the job is for me, is to like bring these messages. They're amazing, amazing and powerful. They're gifts, their guidance, their wisdom, their empowerment. And they're like, hey, we're members of the community. Basically they go, look, if you're a member of a community and you notice that the town village is on fire, you go, can I help? Here, let me help. Let me get into the water brigade too and help put this out. And so this is a great opportunity for us, right? To claim and to work with these incredibly powerful energies. Yes, they're individuate, but like we are, right? They're individuate, but they're also these whole energy fields of mountain, of stone, and yeah, they're individuals. So the individuals are all, and also the thing I found is that every individual energy, be it a stone, be it a cardinal, be it a earthworm, they have their own personalities and they have their own personal relationship with reality, as we call it. And so they have their personal viewpoint. But then there's the larger energy field, and so that's part of what, part of the excitement, honestly, it's really exciting, is to bring forward these willingness, collaboration, and they want a seat at the table, right? And we are really blessed that they want a seat at the table because they are able to offer us so much powerful guidance and tools and aspects that help our own field to be more powerful and to be more in alignment with what I understand the collective has called to themselves right now, which is a chance to lift up our fields a little bit, right? To ascend a little bit, to vibrate in a higher frequency. And so they're like, hey, you can do this. A lot of the messages I get are don't doubt that you can't do this. They feel a lot that our energy as humans is that we do not understand how powerful we are. We don't understand that individually we have huge agency, huge ability. Yes, through our intent and through our knowing it is so. You know that thing your parents used to say, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. It's actually true.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. I love that that's the overarching message too that you're bringing forward is like, we just want to be heard. We can help. We live here too. That's the same thing that I get to at this point in time. Number one, so many people like us are just like, I want to share that I do this, but I'm still kind of in fear. But I get messages constantly that, yes, I get that they're here to help us too, and that we're all working together. And like, cool, you should share that with the world now at this point, because that's kind of where we're at. So I do know that some of the, if not most of your messages are very ecologically based, with the climate change and habitat. Some of your messages kind of look into that on the bigger picture. Do you want to share anything that, maybe you've learned from them in the regard to like how the world is shifting in
I would say that some of them, they're just kind of marvelous, some of them. I'm trying to think, did I post the zebra yet? The message from the zebra was simply wonderful. This was a message that came through the energy of the zebra nature, and I offer this because some of them are actually for us humans and the way in which they're trying to help us. They're trying to say, we see your beauty, we see your individuality, we see your grace. Stand up in your truth. Be willing to stand and be willing to know you're beautiful, whatever you are. And they go, it's this energy of the zebra offered this really interesting thing. They go, when you look at us and you see our stripes, they go, first of all, they laugh and they go, you may find it hard to tell us apart, but we do not find ourselves hard to tell apart. We find you hard to tell apart. But they offer themselves, they go, when you look at a zebra, the thing that's coming to me is to realize that the stripes can represent the balance of the divine feminine and masculine energies and how we all actually are a combination in our own beautiful variety, in our own beautiful, unique way. And they also say that they feel that a lot of us are afraid to stand in our truth, afraid to claim what is so remarkable about us and so blessed, that we are all unique, that we all have these amazing things that we can, and of course this gets into the whole, however your sexual orientation may be, or they go, a lot of times we feel that you're a zebra and you're sitting there in the back room, whitewashing out some of the stripes so that you blend in with the rest of the horses. And they go, there's no need for that anymore. You are beautiful, you are unique, and it's your uniqueness that actually is the blessing you bring into this plane.
Oh, I love that so much. I get the same messages too. But almost exactly, actually. It's like you don't need to blend in now. You need to step forward and actually stand out because you are who you are for a reason. That is your magic. That is your power. And when we kind of hide ourselves or sit in our fear, we do nothing. We dishonor ourselves. And so I love the
I hid,
analogy.
I hid myself for a long time. I was really afraid. I was so afraid to start because I was like, they're going to judge me and blah, you know. And you know what? The way I understand it is everybody is at their own level. There's no judgment. Everybody is at a certain vibrational frequency. So there are some who are at a place, and the truth is this is our way of saying, come on in, the water's fine. Come on in, the water's fine. Because so many of us are so, it's like when you see that flower and you know that when you wake up tomorrow, it's going to be that, right? And but sometimes we're just telling everybody else, I see your light. Come on, come on, come on. Let me have your light. And we give people, by doing this and standing forward and going, yo, this is actually me. Um, I actually had somebody, and this is a classic response. I had somebody, I was off on a bike ride with somebody the other day, and they go, you're so normal though. I go, I am normal, and I'm also a channel. I am normal, and I am a nature communicator. And that's what's happening now. So the exciting part is that everybody, as I understand it, in this earth plane, all of us are being given the blessing of the thinning of these blocks from realizing that we're all energy, we all can communicate with each other, we can all receive the blessings of companionship and of communication, of support, and of collaboration. And whoa, how awesome is that? And not only from those who are here, but from our guides, from those who have and are no longer, not just our loved ones, but guides, powerful, powerful beings of energy and high light that are willing and offer. I mean, I am not a religious human, in any manner, sense of the word. However, that does not mean I do not completely feel and receive the vibratory field of those who have and live in the vibratory realm of angelic. What is an angel? I have no idea, but I know they are, and they're beautiful beings, and they love us. And so the other thing I would say to people, you need to ask. You need to ask, and then they can help. Are they going to solve your problems for you? No, because that's not the point. Are they going to guide you? Yes. Are they going to assist you? Yes. And you have to, they kind of described it to me like this. If there's a store, and everything inside the store is like free, you have to open the door and go in. If the sign says open and no one goes into the store, all of the people working in the store, all these angelic, they're like, they aren't asking. So we have to ask. And it feels weird to us because our society tells us, oh, you don't want to ask for anything. It's like, yeah, you do. You actually do. You're not asking, like, please give me a pot of gold. You can ask. But the idea is ask for guidance. You can ask for, if you're at a fork in the road of your life, you can say, well, I seek guidance. What would be for my highest good? When you ask for your highest good and the highest good of all, the example might be, you want to have a parking space right in front of that really popular restaurant on a Saturday night in the city, or close enough. So if okay, I'm looking for a parking space really close. Can you give me a hand? And then you find, well, okay, I'm three cars back. It may be that the person who's in that space, has a walker, or is taking somebody who has a walker, and they need that. That's the highest good for all, right? They need to be a little closer. I can walk a few more steps, So it's understanding that however it may look, to really feel that it is for the highest good of all. And to know that what we believe can happen, we can call into manifestation. That's the other big message. It's the other big message. It isn't what it looks like now. If we all look, you were saying that, if you look at what is happening now around the world, you can get paralyzed in fear, like, oh, So the idea is to simply envision and to hold the vision of the world you want. and to be there and to call it to yourself, whatever it looks like. Look, when you first, for those of us who've gotten pregnant, when you first get pregnant, sure doesn't look like anything's happening, right? People can't, a few months in, they get the hang of it. Though maybe she's pregnant. I'm not going to ask, but the point, don't ever do that. Don't ask. But the point simply is that things can shift and they may not look like they're shifting. I don't know about you, but I know things are shifting. And we are calling that shift into ourselves and into this field with the help and the blessing of all these other beautiful forms of life that we are blessed to be able to connect with and respect.
Yes. Respect. I agree. Just call in and envision the world that you want and live in that space. I have to ask, when you're working with nature spirits, do you ever find yourself connecting in with the fae or gnomes or any kind of those beings, or do you kind of just stick with what we have in our physical world right now?
Well, hello everyone. I connect with them, but it's like really funny. I connect with them, but it's not like I have I connect with them and yes, they come in and they go, hi, we are the spirits of this grove. So they come in as like a kind of a group, happy to. Hey, everybody, happy to. I actually was like, when I was first starting to do this, all of a sudden I was sitting in my den one night, a number of years ago when I was just starting, and all of a sudden I hear of this mistress, like mistress, and they go, hi, we are, what did they call themselves? The spirits of the field, of this field. And we would seek your presence here. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay. And so then I see a little kind of general idea of where the field is. And so then I go and I'm like, okay, I'm here. Hey, what's up? And it might have been, I can't remember whether it was they had another message for me or whether it was. So what I realized also is there are kind of communities. You feel that too?
Yep, totally.
Spirits, communities of energies. And the other thing that I definitely can feel is when there's, usually for me, I'll feel there's a tree that is a steward of a certain area, that is a steadier, a healer, kind of a keeper of the light in a space, and I'll feel that. And that's something that I've become more really aware of, even driving. I'll sit there and I'll drive by and I'll go, I greet you, grandmother. The older trees, I greet you, grandfather, because I can feel that they are incredibly benevolent, powerful beings to us. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that's, as you know, from your channeling.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun. I mean, I will say though that for anybody who's starting and thinking they can't do it, yes, you can do it. Just accept that you may be playing the violin while I'm playing the piano, but that doesn't mean it's not true, right? Doesn't mean it isn't coming through. Example. I took a class where we were practicing, like, I'm going to see if I can know what you're thinking, and you're going to see if I can, and, and so the example was, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. I go, and we were just told, whatever comes into your thoughts, share it, whatever it is. So this person goes, I'm sure this has nothing to do with anything, but I keep getting the word jelly bean. Jelly bean. And, she's looking apologetically at her partner. I don't know why I'm getting jelly bean. And the woman who she was, trying to get a message from, she starts crying and she goes, Jelly bean, that's the name of my dog who just died. So it may be weird. It may seem this cannot possibly be a message. That's why you can go listen. I channeled the energy of the speed bump. The energy of the speed bump holds information. It holds a vibrational frequency that actually has information to share with us, and a gift of wisdom, basically. And it's so interesting when you go, really? And so those are the kinds of things that I've learned. Like I've channeled the energy of the stock market. I mean, no, it's not going to give you a tip. It's going to explain, so this is you never know. Maybe it will. Listen to it, But an energy that I recently channeled is, as it's the year of the dragon, I channeled the energy. I didn't. Okay. So by the time anything comes out, I don't know if this is true of you, but the time it's posted on my podcast, I've channeled it, could be months before. And then I finally, I get guided who comes in the queue next. So I stick it all on the list of like, who wants to be next? Okay. Because sometimes I'll really want to put one up and they're like, it's that one. Okay. And so it just coincidentally happened, or not coincidentally, that energy came through and is posted now recently. That was a very, and the way so another way that I get messages, I'm listening to the news. I see something, I saw an article. How did I get this? I'm offering this as an example. You could be looking at something and it will catch your eye. So I was looking at a newspaper article who's showing how in China, they have some buildings that have a hole cut out of them, like a big square hole cut out of the building. And there are mountains behind it. And they go, this is a dragon hole. So where these big skyscrapers are, I think they're apartment building, where they are, they're mountains. And their tradition is that you don't want to block the energy of the dragons of the mountains when they go to the water, which was on the other side. So they literally build these buildings with these dragon holes. And so I'd never heard of that, and so that guided me. And I was like, well, that's interesting enough. I obviously need to channel that energy of whatever that is, the energy field of this frequency. So do I channel energies that we would consider a mythical? Yes. Did that help you at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that answered my question. I didn't know that about the dragon holes. That's so cool. I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's very weird. You're looking at these super fancy high-rise
So
buildings
cool.
and they have this whole square cut out of it. And I'm looking like, that's a very interesting choice architecturally.
I love that. And the Year of the Dragon, I feel like dragons are coming so strong to so many people right now. That's like a topic for another day. But I think you've shared so many wonderful tips and tricks and ideas for people today and have given them something to really think about. Do you have anything coming up that you want to share or any kind of last minute thoughts?
Thank you. I appreciate you remembering.
Yeah.
I do. And so while I have the podcast, which is the directly channeled information coming from the spirits of the natural world, I was guided to offer short, really short video summaries of these channelings, and to make them available on YouTube. And so I'm really excited and to announce that I've just launched a new YouTube channel where you can go and check out kind of little short video summaries of this channeling every day. And the channel is called the Nature Speaks channel. And so nature wants to speak to you. And I, being a channel, am the Nature Speaks channel. And so I will send, and if you're willing, I will send you a link to the first episode. And I invite everybody to check it out. Let me know what you think. And I'm excited to share this more informal offering to everyone. This was a little hard for me because I am telling you how I perceive what's coming through. And so I had to get over that part where it's okay, you can do that, because I'm so honoring of the actual words that are coming through. But it's really exciting. So the Nature Speaks YouTube channel. Thank you for asking.
Of course, yes. And I'll put a link in and share that with everybody I can. I'm excited to check that out. I'm so excited for you for doing this. Um, is there anything else that you want to touch on that we didn't go over today?
Just how grateful I am for you,
Oh, thank you.
for your light, for your courage, and for your beautiful field, which has and is showing me the way as well. I wasn't on all this video stuff, and I'm looking at her, but she's doing it. I have to follow her. So I'm just very grateful for you, and to everyone listening, I see your light, and I'm grateful for your light as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll put, again, all of your contact information and links down attached to this video. And thank you so, so much for being here.